Go.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hello, future bestsellers. I was just doing the countdown for Robert to when we were going to go live, and I'm like three, two, but you can't. StreamYard is like it does its own thing, right? You
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, we just have to like aim for it and try to up of a face when it finally goes live and kicks in. So, yay! Well, listen, I guess to our introductions. Michelle is not with us here today because she is traveling. But I would love to introduce you, my talented and lovely co-host, Robert Jones. Tell us a little about you and your awesome channel.
Well, my awesome channel, still basically on hiatus, is The Story Detective, where I take various forms of storytelling and put it under a Sherlockian microscope and break down the craft for the viewer. And while I would like to say that there are videos coming soon, there are videos already in the process of being made, and they're kind of waiting in the wings and gestating, because when Story Detective 2.0 does launch, it's not just going to be a reboot, it's going to be an entity upon itself.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And definitely it's still going to be kind of associated with AuthorTube because I have good friends there. But at the same time, it's going to be apart from AuthorTube and become more of an independent. I guess that's my big announcement for today, but that's what I'm striving for. It's going to be more buckled down craft videos. There's going to be various things that are more so, similar, but better, I hope, and released more like, maybe bi-weekly instead of trying to do videos that are on YouTube schedule because we know how that works out. I'd
I
rather do something good and be proud of it.
I can totally relate to that. I can completely and totally relate to that. And I will tell you why in just one second. So welcome, Robert. I'm super glad that you are here today, as always. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lisa Daly. I'm a now hybrid author, used to be traditionally published. This year, I'm going to be doing some indie publishing, which I am super excited about. And last week, I launched a podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, it really was. Like, I'm very excited that the sort of early reviews have been like really positive and great. So I'm very excited about that. But this morning I woke up and I said to the horror geek, what in God's name was I thinking? Like, I have a plan to write a lot of books this year, and I'm already like really, like the duck underwater. Except in this case, I'm the duck upside down. You could just see me floating with my little feet in the air. Yeah. Sorry, romance aside there. Anyway, so that was it. Like I just had this like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm sure it'll be fine once I get used to it. They just
Mhm.
turn the hot water up on the frog a little bit. So yeah. Okay. Hi. Let's say hi to some of our friends in the chat today. I'm like in such a funny mood. This stream is either going to be epically awesome or a complete and total failure. Let's find out.
Let's
All
go
right.
for epic anyway.
I know, right? Epic failure, epic fun, whatever. We're good either way. Devin's here. Hello, Devin. Devin was our first today. Oop, there goes my microphone. Katrina's here. Hey, Katrina. Good morning. We are super, super glad you are here today. Mary Putnam is here. Yay. I'm super excited about that. You guys, let us know what you're working on today in the chat. We are really anxious to find out what you guys are all, what you've all got cooking today. Jenna, the Soul Writer. First of all, that is a great name, and welcome. We are super glad you are here today. Cool Gamer is here. We're so glad to see you. RC, I am working. I am so glad. I am so glad that you are working. I will be working today too. What will you be working today on, Robert? Thanks for the transition, BTW.
Well, I actually finished up my big editing project, so I'm getting back to my own stuff. And the final quarter is all material that's new. So I'm going to be reviewing my notes and probably just dictate my way through this and get it down fast.
Yeah, I will tell you, I am really enjoying the whole dictating my novel in the pool as I float
Yeah.
around and look at the birds. Uh, I know. I'm not sure if I haven't seen Doll yet in the chat, but I know she's always interested in the weird and strange things that are crawling around in my backyard here in Florida. Many more crawly things than we're used to. But we have a mama alligator back there who
Oh, wow.
yeah. So here's the thing. Usually they just kind of hang out, and as long as you don't mess around with them, they're mostly scared of people. But if some idiot decides to feed one of them, then they like get the whole humans equal food thing. And now we have this mama gator who
Don't feed the dinosaurs.
no. And a couple of yahoos outside, like on the bank of the water, trying to like lure him onto the or her onto the beach with fish, right? Like putting the fish in front of it,
No.
and it climbed right up there. And and the one guy's filming, and the other guy's being an idiot, and I'm staring out from my lanai, just wondering if I should go get my phone so I can call the paramedics. He did live. The alligator didn't bite him. But I will say, if the alligator did bite him, I kind of would have been on the alligator side just a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yay. So yep, there we go. Daisy Ex Machina, the speculative detective. Love, love, love. Hello. Thank you, Jenna. I am super excited about it. Like really, really excited about it. And today, for all the romance fans out there, I am interviewing Sarah Desai. I'm really sure her new book does not come out until September, but we're getting it on the books now. And I'm so excited. I love her. I love her. Victoria, so glad you're here today. All right, so what's everybody working on? Jenna is working on finalizing book one's Kickstarter swag, finalized for mailing next week. Jenna, what? Okay, you know what? I'm super, super excited about this. So do we have is your Kickstarter up yet? Or are you still getting all the backstage stuff done? Let us know. If you're up, I want you to drop a link in the chat. Thank you. Oh, thank you, cool gamer. We love you. Thanks. Oh, yay for podcast, says Mary. I have a question about that word hybrid, which you mean traditionally published plus indie. A friend of mine uses it to mean paid a ton. No traditional in there. All right, let's unpack this awesome question. So when I say hybrid, I mean yes, a hybrid author, as I use it and as I understand it, is an author who is both traditionally published and independently published. So maybe you have like a series that you indie publish, but you do your standalones through a bigger house. I've been traditionally published for my entire career, and but I think you guys know, like, I coach a lot of 6 and 7 figure authors, and one thing that I noticed is that the people who are bringing home the serious bank, not just the 6-figure authors, but like mid 6, 7 authors, are all indie published. And I thought, like, I'd be an idiot not to look at this. So plus, you know, the one cool thing, so the bad thing and the worst thing and the greatest thing about indie publishing is that all the decisions are up to you. So if you have a cover that doesn't pull well, your fault. Or in this case, my fault.
And you know, that might be a good way to segue into a bit of a sidebar, because I was talking to RC and Ben Pick last weekend. And, you know, what I don't see a lot of is it only takes a few dollars, I guess, to print up an ARC copy from Kindle.
Yeah.
And why not print up 25, 30 copies and just make it available on social media to people outside of our little AuthorTube group, you know, for the asking. You get your book out there, and word of mouth sells more books than anything if you can get something going. And, you know, launch that stuff outside of AuthorTube and get people reading it and reviewing it. And you need to think outside the box and think outside of AuthorTube.
Outside the tube as well. Yes. Yeah, there is definitely some truth in that. And that is what, when you're sending out ARCs beforehand, and Amazon will only let you print like 5 at a time, but they're but I could literally print 5 on Tuesday, 5 on Wednesday, 5 on Thursday. So, and they are very inexpensive, and you can print them before your book goes live. So that's super helpful. And in fact, this is just between us. I had a client who was freaking out because her publisher had not printed ARCs yet. And I'm like, I think we can just do that. So I just snuck into my KDP account. We just printed out a few ARCs and then, deleted all the evidence. Only you guys know, and I'm trusting you to keep it a secret. But yeah, we had to, because otherwise we would not have any ARCs to send out to media and early readers. But yeah, absolutely. You should always try to leverage, sort of these circles or markets or social groups outside of your own, because if you're selling to the same 9 people over and over again,
Yeah, and when I
eventually.
do see people doing ARCs, it's a handful to the same people within our group or community, and it doesn't really launch out there. But if you have a few extra and you can put it on your social media that other people are going to see and possibly come in,
Right.
that's
Well,
a cheap way to publicize.
it is, and it can be a good way. Well, and okay, so this is, I know we talked about NetGalley a little bit before. So for those of you who are not familiar, sites like Booksprout or NetGalley will allow you to put up a digital copy of your book so that you can share it before publication with maybe your ARC team or media members that you want to send out to. I do want to talk about ARC teams today. I actually had like 3 different questions about ARC teams, which I think is launch teams, which is something that I sort of hadn't heard about for a while. And now I feel like everyone and their brother is asking about street teams. And so I want to talk about that a little bit today. That was one of our questions that we're going to answer. All right, so let's go. One more thing about traditionally published, hybrid published, indie published. Number of studies over the last 5 to 10 years have found that hybrid authors, so those who are both traditionally published and indie published, tend to earn more money. They're like 12% likely. 12% of hybrid authors that participated in the studies make over $100,000 a year, which I find really interesting. And it's probably that combination of support. You have some publisher support, but you also have, some control where that you're responsible for your own marketing. And I'm a romance author, so let me just say this, also your own orgasms. Okay, moving on. All right. Sometimes indie means small publisher. True, that's true. So if you say I'm indie published, that generally means you're publishing your own stuff. But if you talk about I'm with an indie publisher, that generally means a small publisher that's not associated with the big 5. Good questions today, Mary.
I think too that when you're thinking of indie publishers, and most people I think that self-publish they're coming at writing as a business. And I think I read a Ray Bradbury book on the Zen of writing, and he had like these essays and articles, and he said something that I think is very prevalent to a lot of those writers, and that's have fun with your writing, experiment with your writing, and like we've been saying, dig deeper in craft and find a way to have fun with it. Because if you're not having fun with it by digging deeper, then maybe you're not the artist you think you are, because this should be fun. Hard truth. And you need to separate the business from the writing. The writing is its art, and then when you publish it, think about the business. Bradbury says you have to prepare yourself and show the world what you can do before you're honored as a writer and think about getting that money. And I think that's pretty true.
I think there's something really interesting to think about in there. I definitely do. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our first 5-minute warm-up sprint. We are going to, just get our little documents ready and get our water and all the other stuff we need. Do our finger stretches. Okay, so I'm going to put 5 minutes up on the timer, and we are going to just do a quick warm-up sprint, at which time we will come back and take some questions as well. Some questions that have been sent in. So there's some really interesting ones this week. So, all right, guys, hold on 1 second. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's cha-cha. Okay. Oops, let me get rid of this banner here. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So if you guys have a question in the chat, be sure to just drop us a line and we'll be happy to answer. This was the question that I sort of talked about a little bit when we first started. And I know we have some experienced authors in the chat today, so I want to know what you guys think about this too. I've literally gotten 3 questions about this in 1 week, and I think somebody must be out there selling a new course that says everybody needs to get a street team because
Mhm.
it's just like, do I need a street team? Should I have a street team? How do you do a street team? So, question 1, is street team still a thing? You don't hear about it in the same way that you used to, for sure. But I think people still sort of use that concept to execute book launch. So for everybody who's not familiar with the term street team, a street team can either be other author friends or just supporters of your work. And the idea is that they will, like during your launch, that they will send out, to their newsletter lists or put on their social media or talk your book up to other people or go post reviews and things like that. That basically that you have a bunch of people sort of supporting you. And sometimes authors do it, well, they'll trade support. So I'll be on your street team and then you'll be on mine, which is, I think, a good way to do it. But yeah. So thoughts? I'm dying to hear what the chat has to think about this. What do you have to say about it, Robert?
I say a street team can be a really good thing, but it really depends on the people that you have in the team and what are each of them doing. Just giving a group of people the idea of go out and promote my book might sound like a good idea, but I think there needs to be a little planning behind it and maybe keep it small and tight and people doing what they should be doing, following the plan, because we've seen this go badly for some people.
Yeah. So I think this is interesting. Jenna says an editor once compared a street team to building a pep rally for a football game. It's way easier on the teams that are already doing well. That is
Mhm.
definitely the truth. It is harder to build a street team when you don't already have a number of popular books behind you. And then when you do, it is easier to build a street team that way. I So one thing I think for me, uh, organizing a street team is a lot like being like a PTO president, where you're working with a large group of or a small group, depending on how good you are at recruiting. You're working with a group of volunteers, which can be great depending on the volunteers that you get, or it can be like you do a lot of work and you try and organize everybody, and then on the big day they kind of just don't come through. Which I think you're always going to have somebody who, somebody got in a car accident or their cat got sick or whatever, and they can't help out, and so you have to plan for that. But sometimes it's like you're doing a lot more work behind the scenes. So anybody else have thoughts on this?
I think that working in a group or any kind of team can be a good thing, and it can be, as I just said, a not so good thing depending.
Mhm.
I was watching some DVD clips, and I think it was one of the Wayans brothers movies, and he was talking about, before they even put a script out, they'll get like a handful of trusted friends, and they'll sit in a group and say, "How can we up this? How can we make it funnier? How can we make the plot better?" And we kind of send it out to beta readers and get
Same
feedback here
thing.
and there, but we have this opportunity to talk as a group online and bat those ideas around. And I think when you're assigning things and building a street team, something like that could go a long way. And then you can get those volunteers and say, okay, who's going to cover this and who's going to cover that?
Mhm. Yeah, I think too, it depends on kind of the group of people that you're doing it with. If you're doing it with a group of other authors, I think they're a lot more likely to reciprocate because, or to do whatever their assignment is, because they are going to have the expectation that you're going to reciprocate at some point into the future. Mary says, street team sounds very West Side Story. I got talked into for fabulous prizes, but never received them. Oh, that's the worst. So if you have Mary on your street team, Mary is like the best. Mary travels around with her husband, David Putnam. She's like street team of one. She makes these little earrings that are like the little book covers, and so they look like little baby books. They're adorable. And and she like makes foods for the Barnes and Noble people. Like Mary is the person you want on your street team. I'm wondering, is Dave going to be making muffins for the Barnes and Noble when you're traveling for your book? Just curious on that. So they're like that. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, just totally lost my train of thought. It's harder to get people motivated to be on your street team for goodies rather than out of just love and friendship or some sort of reciprocal relationship, in my experience. Mary says, I'd only say if it sounds fun and you're really into it. Otherwise, skip it. Yeah, I think there's some real good advice there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do our very first 20-minute sprint. I think we're all ready to write here today. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. There we go. All right, we're ready. Did we talk about what we're writing today? What are you doing, Robert? You're I don't remember. I feel like you told us though.
Yeah, I'm actually finding my place where I left off in my manuscript and then reviewing my notes for the fourth quarter. And then I'm going to start dictating since it is all new material.
That's right. Well, I feel like it's going to be really entertaining to have Robert dictating on the stream today. And if any of our more creative chatters today would like to take a clip of that and add a little audio, the audio of your choice.
If I get that far, because there's a lot of review to do.
Maybe I shouldn't have told. Oh, you know what? I think that I have. Did I pull up the thing? I'm pretty sure I just pulled up the wrong timer. There we go. We're good. Okay. So I'm just saying that could be like a fun thing we could do. Okay. All right, you guys, let's go ahead for our first 20-minute sprint. Let's get some writing done today. We are going to get started in 3, 2, 1. Hit it. Right. Very nice. Let me just get back our little thing here. All right. So how'd you do on that last sprint?
I think I got up to my notes where I can probably start proceeding. Unfortunately, it's Wednesday, so the people who are maintenance around here have been coming to work on things of the building that they haven't taken care of in a while. And why they choose Wednesday at this time, I don't know, but drives the dog crazy, drives me crazy, so it's hard to get things done.
They're like, it's live stream day. Robert will be in one place. He can't come
Yes.
out and say, hey, stop making so much noise. It's perfect for them. They really love it. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. So you guys in the chat, let us know how you did on that last sprint. Here is a really interesting question that we got this week. Every day I see more AI writing tools. If I use them, am I ruining things for future writers? So chatters, care to comment? Yeah, so yes and no. Yes, in the sense that the more anybody who is actually a talented writer uses AI, the more it learns from us and the more we screw ourselves in the future. But also no, because a lot of those AI algorithms have already been learning on thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands
Yes.
of books. And so so that horse is out of the barn. So yes and no. I'm
Yeah.
making no moral judgment here because you know, yeah, there are lots of reasons to not do it and there are lots of reasons to do it. So
It can be a tool, and it's definitely a tool that's going to learn. It's in the art community, it's in the writing community. It's pretty much the next thing.
yeah.
And here's how I see it going. It's mainly going to learn from mainstream stuff and what the corporations who use them program them to do. That is going to be the very generic Hollywood blockbuster save the cat kind of story. There are much better tools for you to use, including your own imagination.
Nice.
Unless you want everything to be a carbon copy of that same old in our entertainment world, I would say avoid it and let them crash and burn.
Ooh, salty today. All right. All right. I like that. Maya says she did some morning pages, made a to-do list, and did some contemplating on how I'm going to rewrite my nano project from last year. That sounds like a very, very productive 20 minutes. I mostly emailed people that I need to email. So I have not started my writing yet, but I am going to be writing on the next sprint. And if I have not said today, I'm going to be writing. I know this is going to come as a shock. Dun da da. Hockey romance. Okay. So, what are you guys working on? If you have not already let us know, please do. Let's go ahead and do our second 20-minute sprint, or do we want to let's take one more question. Let me see what I've got here.
There's an AI part 2.
Oh, is there? Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Ooh. Answer 2. AI has power, but it's being used to break copyright laws and no one really cares. I've seen artist friends lose their style and work to the gamified learning AI uses. That is absolutely true.
Yeah, it's copying artist styles too. And the thing is that companies do, especially under work for hire, is everything you do while you're under their control, they can technically say belongs to them. And that includes a lot of your style and whatever you're doing for them. So they're going to use it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. A lot of these AI algorithms learned on an illegal library of books that they basically had access to, professionally thousands and thousands of professionally published books. Pretty much any published book, I don't know, in the like 40 years or something. So, including mine, including, everybody else's work. So, yeah, I think that's horrible. So here's another really good thing, right? This comes from somewhere. It probably is like, oh, this is perfect. Did you hear about the cover of Christopher Paolini's new book that was plagiarized AI and it was published by Tor? I'm horrified by this. I had not heard this, so I'm just talking, like gossip right now, but Holy crap, is that true? That's amazing. And, it's not like, St. Martin's doesn't have a fantastic, stable of cover artists, and it's also not like the publishers are paying some insane amount of money for cover artists. Those people are working hard and cranking out a lot of covers, and okay, all right. I don't yeah. Yes, I've heard about it now and it makes me cry. I feel bad for all the artists. And the thing is, we're next, we're just harder to tell. I
Yeah.
think, when you get like a Nora Roberts line in a book somewhere, that was half written by AI or all the way written by AI. I mean, how does that you can't copyright something that's AI. And so if you're the author thinking, oh, I paid my $89 a month to this whatever, and but now I'm also plagiarizing Nora Roberts or or whoever else. Like it's just the whole thing is just
It's going to be a
really
lot harder for AI to copy the nuance of style and craft. And that's the thing that you need to get good at. Everything that I've been saying on my channel for years, as far as, you know, taking it to the next level and digging deeper. Everybody would do well to just throw away their copy of Save the Cat and find something else, because this is what they're all going to be doing.
right.
And author, the self-publishing community has become a prime example of that. And the fact that it's not selling. And there was just a Writer's Digest that had like the Indie Publisher Awards, and it was a name that I don't hear anybody talking about. And every year, those few people that do well and get recognition aren't the people that most people in our community are reading or even thinking about.
Right. There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. Uh, I think I feel like I'm safe for another couple of months at least, because the one thing that AI does really poorly is comedy, and like really, really poorly. But I also don't think that, I mean, I've read a lot of the articles where, people, oh, I'm writing. There was a big thing, I think it was in the New York Times, that went around 100 times in the last week and a half about a guy who was like, I'm making thousands writing AI books, but he was writing these little like 5,000 word short stories with AI. And I think he had written several hundred books and made, or over 100 books, and made a couple $1,000 altogether. That's not a good sign, but it is getting better, and it feels like it's jumped forward a lot in the last couple of months, certainly in the
I think
last
there's
year.
always going to be, books and comics and things that are done by human beings. It's just going to shrink,
Yeah,
because comic books were ahead of most of the publishing industry selling out, and they sold out to a form of AI. I mean, they went to movies.
right.
Comic books are kind of hanging by a thread, but it's the people who were popular or people that are adding something, stylish and different to it.
Mhm.
It's not a thing that everybody can break into, but there are independent people who are doing it themselves, and I think that's kind of where the future of humans lie. But if those people try to say, okay, I'm going to make money because I can use AI and just crank out a story,
Yeah.
that's going to be putting a lot of stories into the sea of self-publishing, and it's going to be harder to find the good ones. So you need to kind of,
Yeah. This is my thing about the guy and his 8,000 AI books, is that all that crap makes it harder to find actual good work. And this was similar. I mean, like, I do think it'll eventually shake out like it always does. But it feels to me really similar to when all the, pyramid scheme moneymaker bros were like, publish a book on Amazon, easy way to make $1 million. This kind of like publishing crap, or having somebody like on Fiverr, write you a 50-page ebook, or publishing something that's out of copyright and claiming it as your own, and just like eventually readers, the algorithm figures out what's being bought and what's not being bought. But
Mhm.
and the readers certainly do make their preferences known. But eventually, if they always have to wade through a garbage pile before they get to a real book,
Then it discourages people and it hurts us all.
It does. That's it. You have to do that every time you're looking for a good book. Well, I guess the gatekeepers become more important for sure.
So
Uh, I asked an AI to write about a hooker turning her first trick and essentially got an I don't do that. Yeah. Right? There you go. Well, that's a nice yeah, I like that both ways. All right, let's go ahead and do our next not warm up. Let's go ahead and do our next sprint. We've got about 20 minutes up on the clock here. All right, everybody. Here we go. Let's write. Need some words. Mama needs some words today. All right. 3, 2, 1. You can do it.
Can't hear you.
It would be super helpful if I were unmuted, wouldn't it? You'd think I'd be better at that as much as I like to chit chat. Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate that. Oh, look who popped in. Mama Ward is here. Hello. We are super, super glad to see you. So how did you guys do on the last sprint? Let us know how many. I actually did really well on that one. I got 612 words, which I'm not quite sure if I'm counting incorrectly. That seems a lot for me for 20 minutes. So yeah, 612. What? Okay. How about you? How'd you do, Robert?
I got to the point of my notes where I could start dictating, and I got about a page and a little bit done. So I'm on the move.
I wasn't watching, but you guys, okay. So for today, this week's challenge is when we have Robert dictating on camera. I'm just saying.
I don't know if they can get my mouth because I have my phone that I'm dictating on my notebook over here. So I'm kind of turned in the other direction a little bit.
Yeah, well, though, it's like that. There was what was it? The football show on YouTube where they basically use different audio so sometimes you can see them, sometimes you can just see they're talking. You're just giving us more opportunity for creativity, Robert, if we can't quite see. We can see you're talking.
The next one I'll purposely dictate for a couple minutes facing the camera.
I love you so much. All right. Maya knocked out some stuff on her list, but ended up adding more to the list today. Maya, you and I have the exact same issues. Website tech gremlins. Yes. I'm feeling like it. This morning I woke up saying, like, what the heck did I do to launch a podcast? Because now wait, Mama Ward, you have a book launch today? I have been out of it. Let's have a link. Can you drop a link for your fabulous new book, and we'll give you a little push on our way out the door today?
Yeah, because my social media has been pretty sporadic too. When I check, it's like I look at whatever's there for a minute or two, and I'm quick on and quick off. Usually just blocking people on Instagram that have tried to hijack my account.
I see that. I can't even get that much done. I skipped question 3 because I want to hold. I think it's a good question, but I want to hold it. So you're not dreaming. We did move right to question 4. Do you read all your book reviews? How do you deal with the terrible or great ones? Who wants to jump into this one?
I don't know that I necessarily had book reviews. There were reviews of comics I worked on, and back then we had a letters page where people would write in. And sometimes when there weren't enough letters, the editor, especially one assistant editor whose name I won't mention, would decide to critique what he thought was wrong. And sometimes he would give us reviews and he would even say, hiding behind this visage of blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, we know who you are.
We know who you are.
You just deal with it. It's annoying, but you just deal.
You're like, hey, could you maybe just come to my office and say this instead of putting it in print forever?
Yes.
Yeah. So my very first, it's a long story. I could go into it, but I won't. My very first review that I ever got was terrible. And let's just say, well, I'll just tell you guys what happened. My very first book was a dating advice book, and the publicist inexplicably sent my book to this. I'm not being facetious at all. It was like a lesbian outdoors woman blog, which could not be more opposite than, unless it was also about keeping plants alive. Could not have been more of the opposite. And the writer hated my book so much, she literally got a round table of other people to talk about how terrible it was. And like I said, I had paid someone to get, to publicize the book. And this was my very first review. Now, the ones that came in after that were really good. And the book ended up being like a bestseller, and it sold and was a bestseller in multiple countries. And it was a good book, and it sold a lot of copies. It still sold more copies than any of my other books.
Yeah.
I was horrified and just felt like, oh God, like Like if the first one's like not great, you go, okay, well, that's fine. But it was it's like they personally hated my guts and could not
And
wait to write a
so
very
did this assistant editor, so very and I was young. It did kind of shatter a bit of my confidence at the time. Looking
yeah.
back, if I had to deal with that again, I just would have completely ignored him because he did say these things that he didn't like about what I was doing or how he thought the book should look. But as an art team, we talked amongst ourselves and we did what we wanted one another to do. And the book got compliments of being like one of the best books that art wise that this company was publishing. So this
Mhm.
editor was obviously in the minority, but he constantly tried to make it water cooler conversation, and then he eventually put it in print. And since he was saying the same exact things, it wasn't hard to figure out who it
Who
was.
it was. Yeah, so I do have a different philosophy now, which is that I read the trade reviews because those come out pre-publication, and also it helps you sort of get a good barometer about what is being said about your book, so you know whether or not bookstores might actually be interested in buying it. Um, but with consumer reviews, meaning Goodreads reviews, BookBub reviews, Amazon reviews, I tend to wait a little while before I look. Like I keep an eye on the average star rating because I don't, you don't want it to be bad. Not that you can do anything if it's terrible, but like that's just like something that I just do. Like I'll just keep an eye on the star rating. And then after the book has been out for a little while, because again, I think Maya, your comment here about Reads with Rachel, um, I think that like once the book's out, you can't really do anything about it. But I always will go look at like the best reviews and the worst reviews sort of as a group to kind of see, are there any themes? Is there something that I'm
Mhm.
doing over and over again that readers don't like, that readers are frustrated by, or they don't like, or whatever? Um, and so I can like look at that and grow from it. But I also do the same thing with the 5-star reviews, because if I'm doing something that my readers really love, I want to do more of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I do use them as a barometer, but I'm past the time when I read every single review, because they're different people's opinions about your work, and they're bringing all their own stuff to it. And overall, you want them to be positive. Everybody loves a great review. Everybody loves a great review. But the bad ones, which always happen for a variety of reasons, sometimes terrible writing, sometimes just mean people. Um, or sometimes people are trying to juice the algorithm. 3-star reviews get better rankings, get seen by more people on Amazon. And so now you have like a thing where people are like, I love this book so much. The best book I've ever read, 3 stars. And if you're seeing that, that's the reason why, because then their review gets surfaced a lot more often. It's not bad. Readers actually apparently believe those 3-star review. Like um, a really wonderful, effusive 3-star review is actually worth more in a reader's mind than a 5-star review that says the same thing. Is that
And
weird? It's
and
kind of cool.
sometimes when you're just starting out, those glowing reviews can be, detrimental as well as helpful because it makes you feel good. But then you're like, what did I do in this book that I didn't do in the previous book? And how can I repeat it? Because I don't have a clue.
Right. I think
You,
it's just that, yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
you're always going to get people who love you and people who hate you, but the balance is in the middle. Those extremes are the extremists. You can't really look at either one and take it to heart too much.
No. Well, I don't know. I'll take all the lovies to heart. I
Yeah.
don't. It's good. Being a writer
Yeah.
is a hard and lonely business. You keep your lovies, but yeah, I try not to pay attention to the other stuff. And you just like at some point, like I remember when I first started out as an author, tell me for any of you guys in the chat if you've ever experienced this. When I first started doing interviews, it felt so weird to like send a bio that was written about me in the third person, or hear other people talk about me in the, like Lisa Daly, blah, 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 blah. It was so weird and it was so uncomfortable for me. But around the time I got more comfortable with like author Lisa being almost like a separate entity, like a cardboard cutout,
Mhm.
a separate entity, is when I got comfortable with the idea that like the reviews are often about the book, but sometimes they're also about some other stuff. So, and you can't do anything about it. Book's done. They don't like it. Great. I do think this is interesting. Reads with Rachel with her reviews, and I'm actually doing something similar. I'm just not having anyone on the While You're Reading podcast whose book I don't like. I don't want to get into a thing where I don't want to say anything that's not true. If I say I love this book, you should know that I love the book.
Mhm.
And I can't remember if I said B or one anyway. And number 2/B, there are so many books that I do love that I'd rather spend my time telling people about those books and just not review the other ones.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, let's go ahead. I agree, Maya. I want to know how you approach it. So let's go ahead and do another sprint. I'm feeling good today about the writing scenario. Also, I'm feeling very enthusiastic about Robert dictating.
Here.
I know. Well, I had to do it. I don't know if you remember. I did it one time, or I've done it a couple times on the show, and yeah, I've done it a couple times, and I think it looks funny, but I'm like warning everybody. Okay, yes, I am in fact talking to myself. That you are seeing that correctly. So do not be shocked. I'm aware. All right, let's go ahead and put up that screen. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Here we go, everybody. This is going to be our last sprint of the day, so we definitely want to make sure that counts. Sorry, I keep putting my chin on my mic. All right, everybody, here we go. You can do this. It's going to be awesome. 3, 2, 1. Let's write. Okay, everybody. We are back. We had a couple of folks pop in. Dawdling Riders here. Hello. We are super glad to see you today. Amanda's here. Hello. So while we were on our little sprint, I will say, in addition to writing, which I had another really good, I got 500 and I can't read my own writing. I think it's 551. So that's good. That was like 1,100 words in 2 sprints. I'm kind of excited about
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I usually don't write that fast. You guys know this about me. So just before we go, I want to make sure you guys all know that our very own Mama Ward has a new book for sale. I can't. I have the worst time saying this word. Some anemones are blue, which is. I'm wondering if is it. I'm wondering if anybody else does the same mental gymnastics that I do when I read that word. I don't know why. I've always had trouble where I have to like really think about it. Anyway, so it's out. If you guys want to pick that up today, it is. Mama Ward has dropped a link in the chat, and it looks like a good one. Pretty fun. I went ahead and bought it. I'm super excited to see that on my Kindle, so I'm very excited about that. Let's just see if we had any more. Oh, you're so welcome. So welcome. Well, congratulations, because as you guys know, launching a book is a very big deal. Dawdling Writer, I think it's awesome that you're going to try to accomplish as many admin tasks as possible in 10 minutes. Sometimes I think that is the best way to get them done.
When you have to, yes.
Right. Well, or just like sort of the Pomodoro method where you're like, I'm just going to turn on that timer just in the same way we do sprints, right? And I'm just going to knock through as many things as I possibly can. So I have 2 interviews that I'm doing later on today, and so I'm trying to get like fully prepped for those right after this. So that is what I'll be doing. All right. Overall, though, really great writing day for me. How did you guys do in the chat? Were you productive today? Was it good?
Since I only had about a sprint and a half to get my bearings, I got 734 words total. So that's not terrible.
That's amazing. I should have been dictating too, Robert. You kicked my butt. It's so fast. It's so fast. So fast. Okay, Mama Ward, I'm very glad that I'm not the only one doing the mental gymnastic. I don't know why. There are just some words where you have to go like, I know how to say this word. I'm just going to have to think about it. Amanda says, I don't work well under pressure, but I don't work at all without pressure. So pressure it is. Yeah, ditto for me as well. I am super anemones. Yeah, exactly. Love. All right, you guys, we are going to wrap up because I do not have another question that will take less than 2 minutes, and we're so close. Michelle is not with us this week. She will not be with us next week, but she will be with us the week after. She is traveling. I think we're going to have to set up a summer schedule pretty soon.
Yeah, I would say if you want to hear more from Michelle, go watch her recent video. It's over an hour long, but it's a really good topic.
It really was. Yeah, you definitely want to check that out for sure. As always, Michelle's always got great content, but yeah, absolutely. Her, yeah. Anyway, all right, before we go, tell the fine folks a little about you before we leave. They're going to want to know more about the person that they're seeing all over TikTok.
Yes. Well, my channel, Waiting in the Wings for 2.0, is The Story Detective. And as always, I'll be taking various forms of storytelling and putting it under a Sherlockian microscope and breaking down the craft for the viewer. And it's going to be more of the same, but maybe more intense, if that's possible. Better production quality, trying to expand and give people more of that broader view that we keep talking about, in hopes that they will find some things in it that they can look at and research for themselves.
Love that. Fantastic. Well, Very nice to have you every week, as always. I'm Lisa Daly. If you want to write a book you're super proud of and get it published, this is a great place to start. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, you guys. We will see you next. This is when hand talking meets microphone. Just like that. We are super excited to hang out with you guys every Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next week. Happy writing, everybody. Bye-bye.